So when speaking with other fellow game developers, especially the ones that have a lot of experience and perhaps they want to make a transition to more of a consultancy, freelancing gig where they feel very much like, I want to feel empowered, I want to work for myself. I think that's a noble cause. I've been doing this for 6 years. I am loving it. And in this climate that we are right now, where everybody feels like is losing their jobs or studio closures and much, much more, I think is absolutely clutch. So a lot of the questions that I get is a lot about how do you go about working with multiple clients when one is already so complicated, right? So in this video, I want to demystify some of the things that I do in order to make my life easier and also make sure that every single client gets my full attention for as long as they hired me and to make sure that they are happy with the work done at the end of the day. I'm also going to be taking you through some of the tools that I use in order to make my life organized and a little bit easier. So if this sounds interesting to you, welcome, join me, and let's get to it. All right, welcome to another video, and I'm super glad for you to be here for another week. Now, if you're new here, I've been in the industry for a while. I've been working in games like Battlefield and Horizon and Warhammer and GoldenEye and a bunch of other ones over the years. And because I worked in development for so long, I wanted the independence and also making sure that I could do this on YouTube without having to be locked to an NDA of basically you cannot make videos, you cannot share your opinions, and so on and so forth. But for the last 5 years or so, I've been doing it for myself, by myself. So this experience here is going to be all about you doing it for yourself, by yourself, if you want to do it, or if you're not, you can join us at Rekindle as a co-dev studio or any other co-dev studio. If you're interested, links below so you can find out more. So when studios reach out to me, it's normally through my website or through word of mouth. And the second is mostly how I get jobs, is through people that I've worked with in the industry or people that know me through the YouTube channel, which ends up being an amazing way of people finding out. And then they actually go through their studios and go, you know what, this guy that has been saying these things online, or this guy that I worked with before, he's really good at what he does and he has done it at a high level for so many years, so maybe this person can come over and help us out. But consultancy is a little bit gray, like what is consultancy in games? And I think the industry is growing now to a point where it started to becoming a little bit more normal, but I'm still finding that most of my meetings end up being about, so what can you give us or what can you deliver for us and what kind of knowledge do you have? So there's a whole bit in the beginning that is all about, look, I've done these things, what kind of things do you have in your studio so I can basically help you out. So that's the first step, and then I ask a bunch of questions about their project and with the state of the project. So is it pre-production? Is it production? Is it post-production? What kind of pipeline do you have? What happens with the animation team? How big is the animation team? Do you have a lead? Do you have a director? What is the state of things? What is the biggest problems that you have? What is the problems that you think that are sorted? What kind of animations or work that you've done so far you're happy with and you think that that's a benchmark that I can then use to then maybe fulfill other things. Another thing that I like to do here, and this is very important, is normally find out about where do I fit in within the company for to work together. And I go on about this in my upcoming book that is going to come out next year in much more detail about this. But the idea here being that I need to normally report to, as much as possible, to the game director, the person making the decisions. And this is not an ego thing. This is very much about you knowing what is necessary from animation, so I have the full picture and I can speak with other departments to get the most out of animation. So I normally try to insert myself in a position where I can have access to the game director and the design team so I can understand what is needed for animation. So that's part of the questions that I ask. Now, one last thing here is very important for you guys to know is that studios are driven by different things. And some studios are art driven, some studios are code driven, some studios are design driven. So like try to find out, at least for me, it's really important for me to try to find out exactly what drives the studio. Some studios are very have a nice balance, and normally those are the AAA studios or AA studios that have been around for a while and they've went through different formations of the studio and pipelines to get to a good balance between departments. But especially in the beginning, when a studio is about being formed, whoever is the founder, whoever is the person that has the most pull, if he's a coder or an artist or animator, that's going to be the thing they're going to carry the most regardless. Doesn't matter how much they want the game to be perfect. At Proxima, I know for a fact that because my background is animation, I care a lot about animation. And this is natural because it's what I've been doing for the most part of my career and is what I know best. It's what my comfort blanket, right? But as a game studio director, as a game studio head, you kind of have to give love to everything, and sometimes that's not true for all studios. And when some action or section of the studio is a bit more important than others, a lot of the time it creates friction. So I'm trying to find exactly how that works within the studio. Okay, so now that you know what kind of things are you looking for and what kind of things you do, let's talk about keeping it all organized so you can deal with multiple clients at once. Okay, so the meeting is done. Now we both agree that it's a good fit. The client is happy. I'm happy. I'm excited to join the studio. They hopefully are excited to see me join the studio so we can actually make things better. But how does that all fit together? So this is the second part where I try to collect as much information about the project possible. And this, the first thing that I normally do, because I know the games industry is very intensive when it comes to privacy and NDAs and making sure that everything is like super, for yourself. I normally try to find out exactly what kind of tools can I use. Can I use my own tools, or do I have to use the studio tools? If I can use my own tools, I will use Milanote. And Milanote is the sponsor of this video, but you'll find out in a second why, because this tool is absolutely amazing. I've made a video before about Milanote. Go and check it out. That is specifically for Proxima and how I set up the studio that way. This one is going to be specific for my animation consultancy as an example. So let's look at Milanote. Here you have like what Milanote looks like. And just to show you how much I use it, I'm going to go back here to my home because this is what I see every day. And you get to see a little bit more about exactly how things are organized in my world and how things kind of work. And I have it all set up in a way that this is my command center. And this is where you can see things. Now, going back to that board that we just had open, this is just an example. And I picked Hades mainly because the game has been out for a few years and everybody knows everything there is to know about the first one. The second one just came out. Looks absolutely fantastic, by the way. So the way Milanote works, just so you guys know, is that here on the left you have all the tools that you need, and then here on the right you have all the stuff that you've made up for yourself, or you start with a template. Templates are really powerful. I'm just going to show you quickly. You can just, if you have an open board like this, you can select a template from here. And because Milanote is awesome, they actually have templates specifically for games for anybody out there looking for this, which makes your life so much easier, right? And then when you click on any template, you can go ahead and just browse through them, right? But you get to see how, for example, if you actually want to have character relationships, or you want to have a specific design document, you can all find it here. Now, going back to this board that I created for you guys, you can find here 4 quadrants that are interesting to me as a consultant, as somebody from outside the studio that is trying to learn about the studio. The first one is about the studio. So because I keep jumping from studio to studio, it's important for me to get the name of the people that I'm going to be in touch with the most, the people that are more important, for me to know that when I jump on their Slack or email or Teams, I know who to contact and I know how to actually address them. And then the company structure. This goes back to that first meeting that I just talked about, where I'm trying to prod to find out exactly who leads, how it's kind of structured. And all of this is for me to have a look at, not so much the company. Same things with here is that my direct connections. Am I the animation director? And if I am, then maybe a lead animator is going to be my direct connection. And then my direct reports. Do I have any? Sometimes I don't, but sometimes I do. And if I do, is the lead animator reporting to me? How many animators do I have reporting to me? Is tech animation under animation? They may be reporting to me as well. So all of these things matter about the studio, and this will actually be more populated as you go. The other thing that you have is about the game. So we are working on a specific game, in this case Hades. So what kind of game are we working on? And this also goes to the same thing. I'm changing studios, so I need to know what type of game are we making, what kind of genre, what kind of perspective are we making, And this is not going to change so much. Same thing here with the game script. You can go ahead and add a script here so you can know more. And then we have two places here that are going to change quite a bit, which is going to be project priorities. So here we have release dates, milestones, very important. It might not be a release date, might be like a Gamescom or a GDC demo. So this changes based on what it is. So maybe the release date is for a Gamescom debut or like demo, maybe, or behind closed doors, something along those lines. But you have to know the date, because you, especially if you're in charge, you need to know that March 19 is coming, we need these things, and if we don't have it, I need to speak with people to make sure that it happens. Maybe it's within the department, maybe it's outside of the department, but we need to get a move on, especially if you have like a really close deadline. And then the priors. This is me asking the game director a bunch of questions, the lead designer a bunch of questions, and then sort them out. Same thing here. If we have, out of all the priorities, a lot of the time studios want everything to be high prio, which if everything is high prio, nothing is. And now this is the most important quadrant here, which is very much your own department. So if you are in charge of the animation department, in my case, or a design department or art department, this goes all here, and you need to get familiar with the animation tree or the animation structure of the team. And then you also need to find out exactly what is needed the most based on the things that they asked you, because you came in for a reason. So you need to find out exactly what are those reasons. And if they say it's 10 reasons, you should definitely ask, so out of those 10 reasons, which one is the number one reason that you actually want me to actually fix first, second, third, fourth? So you need to actually make sure that they all go here. And it can be things like locomotion animations are not set up correctly, or combat needs work, or the logic needs work. And then same thing with pipeline. Maybe we need a better workflow for animation because things are really slow and we don't understand why the animations take so long. Now, when we find these things, we need to have a bunch of meetings about these things, right? So what kind of animation meetings do we have? Well, it depends, right? Here we have a leads meeting. This is going to be all the leads gonna meeting up to find out situations. So if I'm an animation lead or animation director, I'll be sitting there here with other design leads and coding leads and all the other departments to make decisions about where we're going, what's important, what's not, something fell off the wagon. And then the team meetings. What is the problems that we have? What kind of things do we need to fix? What is sliding? What kind of things are we not going to be able to make? Now, you might want to have more meetings. Maybe studios have other meetings such as coding meetings. Like they actually start breaking down these meetings into different actions or different sections, I should say. There's also design meetings sometimes. And here you're gonna have to meet with a bunch of people, right? So same thing here, you kind of go ahead and set a note for each, and you can set a name for the meeting. So I don't know, August 1st meeting. You have note 1 or note 2, and you can just go on and do a lot of things like here. Or if you want, in case you're actually interested in using Milanote, you can actually add a document. If you just want to like write a bunch of stuff, you can actually do the same thing, meeting August 1st. And you can then basically in this document start adding a bunch of notes, right? So you can add here, you can add a bunch of different things, paragraphs, and structure things in a better way, links, etc. And you can also export these if you want to share with your team or your lead or something along those lines, which ends up being very, very useful. Now, this is basically the animation meetings that you have. You can have them like this as code meetings, design meetings, or you can have them like this, which is very much within the same one. Now, if you want to use Milanote, just like I do pretty much every day, there's a link down below in the description. Milanote is free for you to use for an unlimited amount of time. So sign up using the link in the description and start your next creative project. You are going to have to document things somewhere in the project. And in the beginning, I was very much against documentation because there's nothing worse for an animator, creative person that is normally in Maya or like drawing to then have to write a bunch of documents to actually tell the team what to do. But it's so important about to actually make sure that things are set in stone. And some of the things that you have to document here are going to be naming conventions, the metrics. Go and check out my video about metrics if you don't know what animation metrics are. All of those things need to be documented, and you can do it in two ways. You can just go to somewhere like Confluence or Notion and add it directly there as a person that basically is in charge of documentation, or you can add them here, and then at some point when you get to it, you can just take it from here and then put it in Notion or Confluence. But regardless, if you don't actually capture that information that is needed for the documentation ASAP, and it has to be rough, right? So team notes, for example, here, it can be rough, is enough for you to at least come back to it at some point. So bugs, ideas, and let me see, future documentation. So, and this can be something like, we're just gonna add here a full document because we're gonna have to write a lot of stuff, but animation metrics, we don't have it, for example, right? Once you have that final document, Confluence or Notion, you need to share it with your team to make sure that everybody agrees that this is what it is, because things change so much in games that they end up changing without you knowing. And then there's a lot of this, why did nobody tell me? I think that, for me at least, is way in the past, because I know that things change so much that eventually somebody's going to forget to tell you something. So I wish I knew this quicker, but one of the things that you need to grasp super quick, especially when it comes to working with multiple studios, is quickly changing from one game type to another game type, because in the beginning it's going to make your head spin, and this is where people kind of falter and give up. But I'm here to tell you that please don't give up, because things get easier. It's going to be basically a mountain to climb in the beginning. It's going to feel very much like, I wish we could go back to just working in one job and just working on one set of problems. But the reality is, the more you experience games and the more you do this, the easier it gets. And this is why I'm doing consulting now after 2 decades, because if you do it early on in your career, you're not going to have enough of a baggage to be able to kind of find out exactly what the cycle of game making is from beginning to end multiple times, and finding out through those multiple times all the fail points that you find between your department animation and other departments adjacent, where you then need to learn from them, right? And only by doing that a bunch of times is when you realize that there's things that are common between all studios. And I talked about this in previous videos about this, but once I join a studio, it's very clear to me over the last maybe month or two that there is problems, that some of them are immediate, like a week or two, I know exactly what it is, and then others take a couple of months. But regardless, most studios have similar problems, and those problems have solutions that I've seen in other studios. So for me, it's very important for you to go to a studio, then ask questions. Even if they give you carte blanche, just know that you need to ask the questions and ask about solutions, problems, iteration, what has happened, to make sure that you try something different that hasn't been tried before, something that perhaps might work better for the studio. All right, so that is how I approach consultancy in games with multiple studios at multiple times. Just know that there's a limitation for how many studios you actually can work with. I try to not make it more than 2. Maybe if I get a small project, I might make it 3, but normally I end up with just a couple. And normally there's one big one, and then there's one smaller one that I can tackle, just so you know, so you don't think that I have 10 studios going at the same time, because I don't. I only have a couple at a time, and then I only take some other studio whenever the other one is finished, either the small project or the big project, and then I move on to another one. So just so you know, there's a limitation to this, but if you organize yourself really well, like we talked about, I think it's 100% doable. And shout out to Milanote for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much. As you can tell, super useful tool that I use all the time. I hope you use it too. And if you enjoyed the video, comment below and let me know what you think about this consultancy in games, if you're an experienced developer, or if you're in the industry at all, or if you're thinking about just starting your thing from scratch. Love to know more about what you guys are thinking right out there. And until the next video, stay well, stay safe. Peace. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you super enjoyed it, leave a super thanks. It's like leaving a little tip, and it directly supports the channel.
If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can continue to see my videos and get your weekly dose of betterness.